Torah, and it's very important to remember that. Like that, when you speak to people about different Torahs in Likutei Moharan, and when you look at also the commentaries on Likutei Moharan, usually they refer to the Torahs by their name, by the title. And so it's important for us to train ourselves to remember every Torah by these names.
So I'm looking at the beginning of Torah Dalet. I don't see a name.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the name, because in this, I think in the one that you have, Rabbi Kramer doesn't give the name; he just numbers them. But I'm gonna give you the name. So first of all, Torah Aleph is called. And Sean, I would really appreciate if you could also update the files of the Shiurim. Instead of Torah Aleph, you can also write Torah Aleph, but Torah Aleph with a dash and then write the names. And so I'm going to right now. I'm going to send you the names actually for the first four Torahs that we learned up until now, and then we'll start continuing to do it this way. We'll say Torah Daled, and then the name of it. So the name of this Torah is Anochi. That's the way that they call it. That's the way
of Torah Daled.
Yeah, Torah Daled is
the first word of the
pasuk. So that's the way Rav Nassan is going to refer to it. If you learn the Likutei Halachos afterwards, for example, if you learn Likutei Halachos after this Torah in Likutei Moharan, and you come across and Rabbi Nassan is speaking about a Torah Anochi, now you know what he's referring to.
Torah Dalet.
Yeah. So it's important to know Torah Dalet Anochi. And like that, we'll train ourselves to remember the Torahs with the two ways that they are referred.
So then I'm going to assume that the Torah Aleph is Ashrei.
Actually, some of them are longer, are like a whole, the 3 words. So Torah Aleph is called Ashrei U'Timim Midarech.
All right.
Torah Bet is called Emor El HaKohanim. Torah Gimel is called Akrukta, which remember is what was Akrukta? I think it was the frog. Is that what Akrukta is? I think Akrukta is a frog.
Sounds good to me. I don't remember the translation, so I'm gonna have to count on you.
Let's see here.
We had a lot of interesting creatures in that whole thing. Akrukta is
it's Fardeya. It's the frog.
Okay.
It's on that story with Rabbi Baruchana.
Right.
Okay, and then Torah Dalet is Anochi.
Right. Okay.
So you know what we can do, if you have maybe a table of contents there at the beginning of your book of the Torahs, then you can just write next to each one what the names are at the table of contents, and that would also help. Right? So lesson 1 is Ashrei Timim Darech. Lesson 2, Sean, you can also do this, and like that you'll be able to write it in afterwards by the Dropbox. Lesson 1, you recording now? You're recording now, great. So lesson 1 is Ashrei Timim Darech. Lesson 2 is Emor El HaKohanim. I'll say that again. Lesson 2 is Emor El HaKohanim. Lesson 1 is Ashrei Timim Darech. Lesson 3 is Akrukta. And you can put in brackets frog, Tzfardeya. Akrukta is the Aramaic word for a frog from the story of Rabbi Baruchana. And lesson 4 is called Anochi. Okay, and like that, when we start off the shiur, we'll say, we're in lesson 4, or Torah Dalet Anochi. That's a better way of saying it. Torah Dalet Anochi. That's what we're up to. And we are in the letter Tet, in number 9. Right? Part 9 of this Torah.
We are?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm confirming.
Close to the end of it, actually, or halfway in the middle. It says, "V'zeo shekatuv bazohar, shehistalkut Moshe b'Shabbat b'sha'ata de mincha." You see where that is?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Shehistalkut Moshe b'Shabbat b'sha'ata de mincha. Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on Shabbat at the time of Mincha. You know, in the Kavanot, we have 3 tzaddikim that passed away on Shabbat at that time, and that's why. That's a fact. But the Kavanah, there's a special Kavanah connected to that. And that's why we say Tzidkatecha at Mincha of Shabbat right after Shemona Esrei. Tzidkatecha, we say it 3 times, 3 different psukim of Tzidkatecha. And the reason why we say it is it's called Tziduk Hadin, justifying Hashem's judgment. Meaning that, when a person says Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, blessed is the just judge.
Judge of truth.
Just the judge of truth. So that's called justifying the justice of Hashem, justifying the judgment of Hashem, accepting Hashem's judgment. And that's what we do when someone passes away. At least at this point of history, this point of the process of life, of the universe, where we're still in the concealment of death and life, we're still in that point of Eitz Hadat Tov Hara. At this point, it's not absolutely clear yet that everything is for the good in a revealed way. And that's why we have to, on the difficult situations, we have to do Tziduk Hadin, which is justifying Hashem's judgment, accepting Hashem's judgment. And so we do that here at Shabbat of Mincha for these 3 tzaddikim that passed away, Moshe Rabbeinu, David HaMelech, and Yosef HaTzadik. And in the Kavanot, there's a special Kavana to have where these neshamot have an aliyah at that time on Shabbat of Mincha, because it's the time that they passed away. And so you're elevating your neshama together, you're connecting and elevating your neshama together with their neshama when they ascend. Anyways, so Moshe Rabbeinu is one of these 3 tzaddikim that passed away on Mincha of Shabbat. She'az hidgalut ra'ava de ra'avin. Mincha of Shabbat, the significance of that time is that it's the revelation of the supernal will, the will of wills, the source of all will, the source of all intention. Shu bechinat ritzon ein sof, which is the will and the intention of the Ein Sof. Shekol haritzonot mikablim chiyutam mimenu, that all the wills and all the intentions, all are driven, they are sourced in this will, in this intention. Their life force, their existence, whenever somebody wills, desires, intends, it's all sourced, its existence is sourced in the original intent of creation. Hashem's Ein Sof intent, the intent of the Ein Sof. So why did Moshe Rabbeinu pass away at this time, which is the revelation of this will of wills, the ultimate supernal will of the Ein Sof? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was included in that aspect, in that bechina, because he had completely nullified any yeshut, any aspect of separateness, any aspect of being as a separate entity. He nullified that and returned himself to be absolutely, completely included in the Ein Sof. And we see that when he says, "V'nachnu ma," after all, what are we? So that what are we is a bitul of the we. We are what? What are we? Meaning that there is no we. It's absolute what. What means that there is nothing graspable. That's what means. Rabbi Yosef, it's like what we spoke about last time we learned. We spoke about the shlila, the type of meditation where a person nullifies all the aspects of self. So I don't know if I explained it this way, but we know that in the Torah we are taught that there are 3 dimensions of this existence. There is a dimension of time, space, and people, neshamot, nefesh, olam shana nefesh. So that's the beautiful guide for that meditation, that a person would do shlila and he would come to completely nullify any concept of self as real in the context of space. So you're nowhere. That's what we said, nowhere. Any concept of self in the aspect in relation to time. So it's no time. There's no when.
I am no thing.
And then any aspect of self in the context of nefesh, of the soul, of the person. And so there's nobody or no one.
I'm nobody.
Yeah. There is nothing. There's no time, no space, no connection to, no concept of that. in my experience, and so my experience is absolute nothingness. It ceases to be an actual being attached to anything. I'm not attached to anything anymore, and that's the beautiful place for hitchachut, for renewal, for that's how a person reconnects to the Ein Sof. Okay, so this is the aspect of the original will, the original intention of the Ein Sof. V'zeu perush vayikbor oto bagay, and this is also explanation of the pasuk that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu in the valley. It doesn't say that Hashem did it. It doesn't say explicitly that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu. Rashi gives two explanations, because this pasuk only says vayikbor oto, and he buried him in the valley. And Rashi gives two explanations. He says who buried Moshe in the valley?
Who's the he?
Who's the he? One explanation is that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu in the valley. Hashem himself buried him. That's unimaginable, unbelievable. And the second explanation is that Moshe Rabbeinu buried himself in the valley. He passed away already, and he buried himself in the valley. And the truth is that these two explanations are not necessarily two separate explanations. It could be that this aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu, it could be, I'm not saying absolutely, it could be that this aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu being absolutely included in the Ein Sof, and like that he passed away, so that's also Hashem.
What would be the distinction, right?
There wouldn't be a distinction between the two.
Right. Sure.
That could be a way of seeing, that's one perspective on Rashi. Anyways, so it says in the pasuk that Hashem buried him in the valley. So also, why? So Rabbi Nachman says Zeh Bechinat Ayin. That's the aspect of Ayin, the Ein Sof. So why is it the aspect of Ayin? One beautiful way of seeing this alluded in the pasuk is that when it's referring to the Ein Sof, Ein Sof means that there is no limit, right? So there is nothing graspable in that aspect of Hashem, because we are all limited. So anything in the limited universe, everything that's created is limited, because if it was unlimited, it would not have to be created. It would already be. So Ein Sof is beyond that. It's beyond anything that's created, because the Ein Sof is unlimited. And anything that we created, we just established, is already limited. And so the Ein Sof is ungraspable by any of the creations. Anything that's created, anything in the created world and created universe, anything in the universe is not able to grasp the Ein Sof. And so that's why when it refers to Ein Sof, when it's alluding to the Ein Sof, it refers to him in a hidden way. It doesn't refer to him directly. It says vayikbor oto bagay. It doesn't say who, because you can't actually name him. You can't actually grasp him with any name, with any specific. With any way. So it's vayikbor oto bagay, and he buried him in the valley. That's referring to the ayin, k'mo shekatuv kol gei yinaseh, as it says in the pasuk in Yeshaya that every valley shall be elevated. Be'eretz Moav, in the land of Moav, ze bechinat malchut. David ba miMoav. David HaMelech came from Moav, right? David HaMelech's grandmother was Ruth.
Right, Moab.
שנסתלק משה בתוך אין סוף, בתוך רצון שברצונות. So we see two aspects in the description that the pasuk gives for where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. One part of the description is that he is buried in the valley. The valley is alluding to the Ein Sof. Why? Because the Ein Sof, if you remember, we were speaking about the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sof, the Ayin, the highest level. Wherever you see Hashem's greatness, you see Hashem's tremendous humility. And so we were saying that wherever you see Hashem's greatness, which is, for example, the Malchut, so you also see Hashem's tremendous humility, which is the Ayin, the Keter, the Ein Sof. Or you can explain it the opposite way as well. You can say wherever you see Hashem's greatness being the Ein Sof, you see there Hashem's greatness, which is the Malchut, you see Hashem's humility, which is the Malchut. So they are connected, and you also pointed that out. You said, hey, they are two sides of the same coin. And I explained that according to Kabbalah, the Malchut the last Malchut, the last aspect of Malchut of every higher world, becomes the highest aspect of Keter for the next world.
Right.
So here you see that as well. You see that in the description of the valley, because the valley, it says Rabbi Nachman, he brings a pasuk from Yeshaya that the valley, every valley will be elevated. So every valley, the lowest point, will become the highest point, right? So that's exactly the two aspects that we see in this Keter Malchut. We see the aspect of the Keter, that the Keter is also can be called the lowest point of the valley, because the lowest point of the valley in essence is the highest point. That's how it will be when the world is in its state of tikkun and things are revealed as they ought to be, as they are.
As they really are.
As they really are, right? Like the famous story, the rabbi in the Gemara that he went up to Shamayim, and when he came back down, when he awoke from his vision, he said that everything that those that are higher, the people that are higher in this world are lower in the next world, and the people that are lower in this world are higher in the next world. So that's this type of idea of the valleys being elevated. So that's alluding to the Keter, and then also it gives us in the description that Moshe Rabbeinu was buried in this valley that was in the land of Moab. The Moab is the aspect of Malchut. Why? Because Moab is the source from where David HaMelech is born. His grandmother was from Moab, and David HaMelech is the aspect of Malchut. So we have Malchut and the Ein Sof, both being alluded to in the description of where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried, which is really a description of the aspect that Moshe Rabbeinu ascended to and was included in when he passed away. What is that going to teach us? So let's see. So says Rabbi Nachman. So he says, "Shenistalek Moshe betoch Ein Sof betoch Ratzon shebaretzonot." Moshe Rabbeinu passed away and was included in the Ein Sof, in the will of wills, betoch Ra'avad Ra'avin, in this holy place called Ra'avad Ra'avin, which is the Zohar's way of saying the will of wills. It's in Aramaic for Ratzon shebaretzonot. Ra'ava is Ratzon in Aramaic. Shu bechinat Ratzon Ein Sof, hamlubash baretzonot, bitmunot otiyot. So what is this Ratzon of the Ratzonot? What is this supernal intention or will, which is the source of all wills? So that will is enclosed within each and every will. That's what gives life to each and every intention in the universe. Every ot, every letter is a malchut, and within every letter, so every letter is a revelation, a manifestation of an intention of Hashem, but within each letter is the supernal one source of all intentions. That's the Ratzon Shebitzonot, Shebaratzonot, the Ra'avad Ra'avin, which is the Ein Sof. And that's enclosed in each one of these sparks of intention in the universe, which is the sparks of Malchut, which are the letters of the Torah, right? Which are the spiritual makeup blocks of everything in the universe. Okay? Shu bechinat Ratzon Ein Sof hamlubash birtzonot, bitmunat otiyot, bibchinat malchut. It's the aspect of the Ein Sof intention, the supernal intention, which is enclosed in the many different sparks of intentions, of wills, which is really expressed as the forms of the letters, which are all aspects of malchut. כמו שכתוב, בכל מקום שאתה מוצא גדולתו, wherever you find Hashem's greatness, היינו מלכות, בחינת רעבים, which is the revelation, which Hashem's greatness is revealed through the malchut, which is the many different distinct sparks of will and intention. שם אתה מוצא רעבה, רצון אין סוף. Over there you find the ratzon of the Ein Sof, the supernal will and intention. And now so he's going to explain based upon this another description in the pasuk about where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. the place where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried is also across, opposite from this Beit Peor, which was the church of the Avodah Zarah, the idol called Peor. כי אמרו חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה, למה נקרא שמו פאור? השם שפוער פיו. Our Chachamim explain why was this idol called Peor? Because it opens its mouth wide. כשפוגמים במלכות, when a person, what's the word? When a person
opens?
No, when a person defiles the malchut, if a person defiles the malchut, so then this idol, this klipa, called peor, has the power, has the ability to open its mouth wide and speak the letters in corrupted combinations, right? And that causes all the pain and suffering in the world. All the concealment is caused from these corrupted combinations of letters. Moshe Rabbeinu that rectified the aspect of Malchut, and we said that when you rectify the aspect of Malchut, it cancels out the klipa of the Malchut of the other side. And so therefore that idol, and he's alluding to the fact that this idol called, this klipa called Peor, is connected to the Malchut of the klipa. And therefore, by Moshe Rabbeinu rectifying the Malchut in the side of holiness, he caused that this klipa had no power whatsoever to open its mouth and corrupt the combinations of letters. Vezeu velo yada ish. And that now he's going to explain the continuation of the description of Moshe Rabbeinu's burial that's brought in the pasuk. What's the next part of the pasuk? Velo yada ish et kivurato. Nobody knew where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. So he says, Rabbi Nachman, velo yada ish afilu Moshe lo yada. Even Moshe Rabbeinu did not know where he was buried, meaning that he was in a state of not knowing. So this is all experiential. It's not just a simple description, oh, he didn't know. It's experiential. He was in a state of not knowing. Because he was completely nullified and negated and integrated in Hashem's infinite perfection. All of this was at the point of Moshe Rabbeinu's passing from this world, but definitely during his lifetime, he also had aspects of this negation of the gashmiut, the stripping away the physical, right? And he would completely abdicate and attach himself to the Ein Sof, be integrated in Hashem's infinite perfection. So then what's the difference between the experience of Moshe Rabbeinu's bitul to the Ein Sof while he was alive and the experience of Moshe Rabbeinu's bitul when he passed away? He said when he was alive, it was an aspect of Ratzov Hashov, meaning that it was with an ebb and flow. It was not always, it was not continuous, it was not absolute. Because Hashem wants our service. He wants us to serve Him from this world. Like it says in the pasuk that you desire praise from these mounds of dirt, of dust, from these lumps of clay that we are created from, right? It means the physical experience that we have in this world. Hashem desires the praises that come from us in this physical experience, way more than what the praises, tremendous praises he's constantly receiving from the angels. And therefore a person cannot stay continuously, constantly in the state of absolute nullification, because Hashem wants him to serve Hashem from the physical experience of this world, to elevate everything to Hashem. And so when does a person stay in that state? When Hashem will decide, after 120 years, living long, healthy, beautiful, wonderful lives in this world, Hashem will decide when is the time and take a person's neshama, and that neshama will be completely integrated in His infinite perfection for all of eternity. And that is the state. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu. That was the difference between the bitul of when a person is alive, Moshe Rabbeinu is alive in this world, and the bitul when a person passes away. Should we stop here?
Probably a good place.
Okay, so have a wonderful Shabbat. So we are in Torah Dalid. This was Torah Dalid, Anochi.